Good evening and welcome to the Hamilton Report. I'm Scott J. Hamilton, your host, and I'm delighted that you are with us this evening on the 25th day of April, 2022. And I know I say this at the beginning of every month, the months are moving quickly. The weeks are moving quickly. And as you see, by the time we come together again next week, we will then be in May. So lots of great things happening. And I'm particularly happy that tonight we begin introducing some of our Democratic candidates to our viewers. First, I want to mention that we had an absolutely incredible weekend in Tulsa. I want to thank all of the candidates and volunteers and campaign workers who came out for Campaign Academy 2022. It was a great experience. We had some of the nation's foremost educators there to present to us. It was just a great opportunity. And then that evening, we honored George Crumey and Jim Frazier. And I can't tell you the joy that I had in being around so many Democrats who were just happy to gather together again. That was our first indoor major event since before COVID. So that tells you how excited people were to come together. And finally, I want to mention this. The Oklahoma Democratic Party is now hiring. Specifically, we are looking for a director of operations. The information is available on our website. So if you or you know of someone who is looking for a career move, this could be a wonderful opportunity not only to help the party and earn an income, but also to grow in your career, because we will promise you the opportunity to learn a great deal about the operations of a political party. So I hope that you will share that information with your family and friends, because we want to make sure we get the right candidate to step in. And I want to say a special word of thanks to the staff here at ODP who worked so hard to make this past weekend a success. Well, as I said, tonight we are beginning the process of introducing you to candidates. And tonight we have two candidates for you. One is running for a House seat. The other is running for a Senate seat. And I'm grateful that they are both with us, because it's important that you get to meet people actually where they are. And they're both in their homes this evening. And I think that that's a really good way to get to know people. It's different from meeting them on your doorstep, because tonight they're not here campaigning, but rather to introduce themselves to you. And our first guest this evening is running for Senate District 22, which is a big step. And I'm happy to welcome to the Hamilton Report, Blake Aguirre. Blake, welcome to tonight's show. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Scott.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. You are a young man. You could be exploring a million other things, but you have it in your mind that you absolutely have to run for this office. What was it that drove you to file to be a candidate for SD 22?
Just the election that happened in 2016, as a Latin man here in Oklahoma, I'm Hispanic. My grandpa came here around 1960s from Mexico, and hearing the former President Trump just bash people from Mexico as criminals, I was like, you can't be running for the highest seat in our land and then wanting to represent that community. Like, it's not right. And so just listening to him talk during his rallies, in the debates against Hillary, I was like, we need someone either at the national level or the state level or local that's really going to listen to the people that vote them into office. And so that's why I chose to run.
And you're fluent in Spanish, correct?
I am not. My dad did not teach me growing up, but I took Spanish classes in college, have a Spanish minor, and I'm still learning to this day.
Okay, well, that shows your intent to serve broadly, and I appreciate that very much. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just assumed that with that close of a lineage to Mexico, that perhaps you might. But I'm grateful that you're learning, and that'll make it easier to communicate with a broader group of people. Mm-hmm. What has been the reaction of your family? How was that when you first said, "Hi, everybody, I'm going to run for state senate"?
So I originally was going to run for the House, and my parents were kind of okay with it. My dad doesn't really care about politics that much, besides when Trump was either on the ballot or on TV. talking nonsense. But it's been a good reaction so far. I have a lot of support from my family. The only negative is my mom's getting attacked right now, but hopefully that will stop here pretty soon.
You said that she's getting attacked because you're running?
Because my mom talked to the incumbent last year during the special election, told him that she had an abortion in 2011 due to being diagnosed with cancer, and he's telling his audience that she just went out to have an abortion. So she's getting people messaging her, calling her a murderer, trying to get her fired at work. So hopefully it dies down here pretty soon.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us because, you know, anti-women laws have been all the rage this legislative session. And so I appreciate you setting the record straight. How aggressive of a campaign group do you have? Do you have volunteers? Are you working with a paid professional?
I'm working with volunteers right now. In Canadian County, we're going to do another day of action this coming Saturday. They did it this past Saturday, which unfortunately I wasn't with them because I wasn't sure if they were going to door knock due to the weather. And so I didn't get a response back until after they had already started. But this Saturday, we'll be back in Yukon door knocking again.
Great. You said why you felt it necessary to run. And the Senate is, as well as the House, the Oklahoma legislature, Democrats are grossly outnumbered. And I believe we're going to make some significant changes in those numbers this year. But what are some things that you hope to accomplish, or that you are telling your constituents what you want to do, and then what are you hearing back from them?
So obviously representation matters a big deal to me at being as a gay candidate as well as a Latinx candidate. But I just want to be an elected official for the people. That way they are comfortable enough to come to my office, talk to me if I hold town halls, keep them informed of what's going on in the state legislature, as well as just being someone that can represent their voice. Because if a candidate's getting elected, sometimes they only vote alongside with their party and not to the people that are actually voting for them and putting them in that seat. So I just want to be that elected official for the people.
And I appreciate that. What are you hearing from folks in your community? What are they saying that they're concerned about or they're hopeful for?
The only thing that I'm really getting when I'm door knocking is, are you old enough to run? And I'm like right there at the cutoff line because you have to be 25 to run for state senate, and I'll be 26 in August.
So that's their big question. And then when you assure them that yes, you are, then where does the conversation go?
They just listen to me speak about my platform, what I'm wanting to do. And some of them are happening to be Republicans because their kids are the registered Democrats at the House. And either they're not there because they moved for college or they're at work. Sometimes I speak to the parents and they actually have a conversation with me and not go crazy.
Wow, that's encouraging and I'll admit a little bit surprising.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they're not running you off the porch, I guess that's a good sign.
Yeah, I did have one that kind of ran me off because he used to be a Democrat but didn't change online to a Republican. And so when I went to his door, I was like, "Hi, I'm so and so running for this seat." And he was like, "Oh, I'm actually a Republican." And I was like, "Oh, well, I wonder why you're on my van turf to come and speak to you." He goes, "Oh, I haven't changed online." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, is it still okay if I talk to you to hopefully get your vote in November?" "No, it's okay. I'll just vote straight Republican." "Oh, okay. Well, have a nice day. Thank you for your time." And I just went on from there.
Yeah, and that's part of campaigning. There
Mhm.
will be people receptive and those who are not. And I always feel like if someone is coming to my door to talk to me about their positions, regardless of their party, I give them the courtesy of listening because
Mhm.
I can learn something that way, and I always appreciate that. I never
Absolutely.
start out by saying, "No, I'm the Democratic Party's executive director, so we really don't have much to talk about." But rather, I listen,
Mhm.
and I think that that's a pretty good thing um, to do. Karen Gaddis, one of our viewers this evening, suggests that you hire a professional campaign manager. An amateur can't do everything that needs to be done. Take this from someone who made this mistake the first time and learned the lesson and won the election the second time. And I do know that cost is always an issue, but I think
Mhm.
that that's very good advice from a former office holder. That's why we have campaign professionals in Oklahoma and around the country, to help with those kinds of things. So I'm glad that she shared that, because that is some sage advice.
Mhm.
How are you doing with fundraising right now?
I am definitely struggling, but it's gonna take some work. I actually had a donation from George Crumey, which I am sad I couldn't make the gala on Saturday to thank him in person, which I wanted to do, but it's going. I'm still working very hard to get more money coming in. That's actually why I don't have a campaign manager, because the one I had was charging me $1,300 a month, and I'm like, without money coming in, it's not gonna work. So
Well, we have your website up on the screen right now, and people can go there to learn more about you as well as contribute. And as our chair, Alicia Andrews, has been saying, don't wait until after the primaries. Get behind a candidate now. Support him or her or them in what they're trying to accomplish, because now's the time when a lot of groundwork is being laid. And so I know that you need financial support, and I'm encouraging our viewers to learn more about you. Let's talk for a minute about Blake the person. You told us why you wanted to run,
mhm.
but what is it deeper? What is driving you in this process to say, I'm 25 years old and all my friends are spending their time doing other things. They're traveling, they're paying off student loans, whatever it is they're doing. And you have taken off a big chunk here. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm just a boy from a small town. I was raised in Madill, Oklahoma, where half the town's related to me because of my dad. Um, but what really is getting me out there is I'm a product of public education. And my second semester of eighth grade year, my mom was diagnosed with cancer in February 2011. So that puts me about like 13, 14. Doctor didn't explain what cancer was to my brother and I when we were young. So we were like, what's cancer? Okay. Everyone's crying. Should we be crying? Like, what's going on? And it actually made my brother not have anything to do with my mom because we didn't know what cancer was. So he thought if he was around her, touches her, near her, that he would get cancer. So every day after school, he would just go straight to his room and shut the door. And it actually hurt my mom because she was like, why is he not giving me a hug? But then first semester, freshman year in high school, my grandma, my mom's mom, got diagnosed with stage 3 inflammatory breast cancer. So it was like back to back within the same year.
Wow.
And I was still coping with my mom, but it hit me a little different with my grandma since I was close to her. And my 8th grade English teacher, Mrs. Fall, actually stayed in touch with me even after I was out of her class to make sure I was doing okay, if I needed anything, if I needed to talk. And if it wasn't for her, I probably would not have graduated high school, went to OU for a little bit, transferred to UCO, and graduate with my bachelor's degree.
And here you are running for the state senate.
Mhm.
That's a pretty powerful testimony to public school education, isn't it?
Yes, sir. We
And
actually need to keep those teachers here instead of losing them to surrounding states.
I appreciate you saying that, because if we don't protect our teachers and if we are not zealous in our commitment to public education, it will be privatized. We all see that handwriting on the wall, and it's something we
Absolutely.
simply can't afford for our kids and for future generations. So that's encouraging, and I appreciate you sharing that story. Blake, anything else that you want to share with us tonight? Anything that we really ought to know about you as a man or as a candidate?
Just I hope I can get y'all support in November so we can flip the seat and actually have an elected official that cares about the people and not just his party.
And we're going to put your website up one more time. It's aguirre4sd22.com. And I encourage you to go to Blake's website, learn more about him, and if you could make a contribution in any amount, and when I say any amount, I truly mean that, because $5 will go to paying for walk cards. $20 will help pay for fuel to get him around to knock doors. I mean, there are endless expenses, and so there is no small contribution. Each one matters, and I encourage you to support this man in his candidacy for Senate District 22. Blake, I'm going to ask you to stick around. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to Nana Dankwa, but we'll see you a little later in the show.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Now, a word from our sponsor.
Don't have time to wash your car yourself? Tired of going to the automatic car wash and getting lackluster results? You better call Sal. At Better Call Sal Detailing, we treat your vehicle like it's our own, providing high-quality, meticulous detailing and cleaning. Ask about our exclusive pickup drop-off service for your convenience. Visit bcsdetailing.com for more information and set up an appointment today. Turn that neglected ride into a fresh new ride at Better Call Sal Detailing.
We appreciate so much our sponsors for this broadcast because it's not inexpensive to produce this show each week. So if you own a business, if you are an LLC or a PC or an individual or a candidate who would like to support this broadcast, send us an email to info@okdemocrats.org. Again, that's info@okdemocrats.org. Our next guest this evening is someone who I have really come to admire, and I'm grateful for his friendship. We met for the first time when he made a run for city council in Oklahoma City. Then he was elected as secretary of the Oklahoma Democratic Party, and he remains an officer in this organization with that title. And now he's also running for HD90. Please welcome to the show, Nana Dankwa. Nana, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You know, you're an attorney.
Yes.
You're a husband.
Yes.
You're a father to 2 kids, young kids. You are an office holder with the party. You are involved in so many things. What was the process that you and your wife Lauren went through in coming to the absolute conclusion that you need to run for HD90 now?
I would say, of course, like you mentioned, I ran for city council. So that race, my wife was heavily involved, and so maybe more involved than she wanted to be, looking back. So whenever I decided to run for HD90 and I started thinking about it, and it was around the time actually whenever I was running for secretary, whenever I got the energy again to think about running for a seat, it took a lot of convincing. One thing we considered was the fact that the pressure that it puts on the family, the stress. But one big thing was the current political climate, just the toxic nature of it. With me having 2 small children, as you mentioned, 4 and 5 years old, I'm just worried about, how they'll be treated, the things they'll see, or the things they'll have to hear about their father. And just, I was listening to Blake when he was speaking with you, and just what, he's having to go through with his mother and all that. And that's what we were worried about. But at the end of the day, we decided that there's not always a perfect time to do the right thing. And we understand that there are some people who are afraid to run because of those things, but I am not. And so, ultimately, I decided that they want us to be scared. They want to intimidate us. There's a lot of those things that the opponents want to do to prevent people from running. But I decided that I was going to put my name on the ballot and run for HD90.
We don't have to delve too deep into this, but I just want to acknowledge that since you did file for office, you've had some pretty aggressive pushback from the Republican Party, haven't you?
Well, yes. I learned early after filing that a particular individual wasn't too excited about my candidacy and wanted to make that known. I guess I could to say that. But that also, knowing that, made me very, it gave me confidence. It put a fire in me. It let me know that they feel perhaps that I may be a threat, and they should feel threatened. Nothing is guaranteed. I think the individual that currently holds the seat has had it for 10 years, and he'll be terming out after this term. And so if he were to get this term, and so I want to give him an actual fight. I want to make him actually run for his seat. And so that is my goal.
Well, one thing you certainly have to talk about is the lack of representation for students and parents in the Western Heights School District, because when they were going through so much upheaval, they really didn't have anyone in the State House to stand up for them, did they?
Yeah, I feel like that was a missed opportunity of leadership. I feel that there's a lot going on in that situation with the students and the parents and the superintendent, and that the Western Heights School District has has needed money for a long time. They don't have a lot of money. They a lot of the students there, and that's really what matters, right? It's the students at the end of the day, and how it affects their education. And I think 30% of them are English learning speakers, and so it's a great diverse community. But they were definitely forgotten about, ignored. In this situation with the superintendent, and as a state representative, I feel that I would have wanted to come in here, represent my people, and then let them know that it's going to be okay, have a voice. And I don't know if that happened. I feel that, again, it was a missed opportunity of leadership. And if I am elected, I will represent the unrepresented.
You're correct me if I'm wrong, but your children are or will, when they're school age, will be in public education. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, definitely. My son is 5. He just got through preschool, his first year of preschool. We had to do that online, just, given the COVID situation. But it was a great experience. He's loved school, but he's in the public school system. And now my 4-year-old August, she just turned 4 not too long ago. She's going to be entering preschool as well. And it's the public school system, just like me. And I mean, that's another reason why I'm running it, because I'm a dad. My community means a lot to me. I came up in the public school system. I'm a Putnam City School product. I think that it did good for me. It's gotten me to the point I am. And I want it to be just as good, if not better, for my children and everybody's children living in this district and in this state. I think education is paramount. I have spent a long time in education. I have experienced almost every level of education, from K through 12 to a vocation. I have my associates, my bachelor's, my master's, and my Juris Doctorate. So education has played a large role in my life. And so I want to make sure my kids have the same opportunities I've had.
So after you win and you serve all this time and then move on to the governor's mansion, and then after that, then you can work on your PhD. How's that?
I'm going to start with HD 90, and then we'll look in the future. Let's get this seat and get through this primary. So, yeah.
Nana, Blake was telling us that his grandfather immigrated to this country, and you're actually a first-generation American, aren't you?
Yes, both my parents immigrated in the 1970s from Ghana. They came over here, obviously, to achieve the American dream and provide a good life for my brother and I. And they did that. And so with me now, I feel like I can be an extension of that. Being a first generation American means a lot to me. I'm also very proud to have been able to achieve the things that I've achieved while my parents have been here to see me do it. And so it's been an honor. And yes.
Are they excited that you're running for office?
Worried. Yeah, I mean, of course excited. So the first time, I ran for office, there's a lot of, unknowns. So, it was exciting and scary, and they were worried about it, but then, it turned out to be great. So they really, they enjoyed the process. But coming out of that, out of the city council race, and knowing everything that happens and the stresses that come along with such an endeavor, they're not as enthusiastic, but I do have their support. There's no way they wouldn't support me. They love it. They love me. I love them, and they have my back 100%. I don't ever feel alone. So they have my support.
And that's a good thing. We've all heard the so true expression, "It takes a village," and with you and Lauren both so busy, I can imagine that that your kids enjoy spending time with their grandparents. So that's a plus.
Yeah, it's nice because the grandparents actually don't live too far from us. So, we all live in HD 90. And so they have access to, my parents, Lauren's parents, I don't believe live in our district, but my parents do, and they're very close, and my kids have access to them. And my parents are both retired, so they get to really get that interaction with them. They love it. And again, it does take a village. And so I'm glad that we were able to provide that little village for them.
Well, we talked about why you made this decision to run and the impact that just the campaigning will have on your family. What else do we need to know about Nana the man as opposed to Nana the candidate?
I guess Nana the man. First off, I want to let everybody know that I love to barbecue. It's one of my main things. It's my number one hobby. So while I have a captured audience, I just want to tell people that that's where I spend most of my time. And
we should point out that your backyard barbecue is a whole lot better than Swadley's. So,
Good job. Yes, it's definitely better than swallow these. Perhaps I should discuss getting a contract. No, so I'm actually, I'm a pretty straight, nothing too exciting. I enjoy politics, obviously. Ever since I was a child, I grew up. My parents spent a lot of time learning the landscape of the country they moved to. So they watched a lot of news, a lot of international news. So I had the benefit of soaking in a lot of that news when I didn't know when I was younger. But when I grew up, I noticed that I had a very strong passion for politics, government, and things like that. So I watch a lot of news. Again, I'm an attorney. I work for, I do regulatory compliance for a bank, making sure that they don't do their customers wrong. I get to police the bank. It's better that I find it before the regulators do.
Sure.
I enjoy time with my kids and my wife. She's my rock. I wouldn't be doing any of this without Laura and Dankwa. She means everything to me. So, that's pretty much who I am. But I just have a passion for people and public service, and that's why I run.
Nana, we're going to put your website back up on the screen because, again, it's any amount is an appreciated amount. Because this is a sacrifice, and I recognize that. And so I encourage our viewers tonight to learn more about Nana and about Blake, as I suggested before. You can learn more about Nana at nana4hd90.com. And I hope that you will go there and consider making a contribution to his campaign, because we need to elect Democrats. I don't live in either the Senate district that Blake is running for or the House district that Nana is running for, but I will support both of them because we must support all of our Democrats across the state who have made the commitment to stand up and step to the front and say, this is the time. This is the time. And if they can say that, I think we all can too. And I'm going to bring Blake back just for a moment. We are almost out of time this evening, but I want to thank you both for the generosity of your spirit, for making the decision to run, to be with us tonight. And I feel like perhaps our viewers have learned a little more about both of you as people. And, if you're a good person, you'll be a great candidate. If you're not a good person to start with, not only will you be a poor candidate, you might get elected, but you'll be a poor leader. And so you both have great, compelling stories to tell. And I hope that you tell them over and over as you knock doors. And I wish you both the very best of luck. And I'm going to ask you both to consider coming back later in this cycle, because I want you to be able to report back on how the Oklahoma Democratic Party has been of help to both of you and in support of your efforts to serve the people in your communities. So any last words from you, Blake?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask if I can make a little quick announcement. On May 17th, we are having a fundraiser event for me, Annie Mintz, who's running for House District 45, and Arturo Alonso, who's running for HD 89. All three of us Latinx candidates are going to be appreciative if people can make it out to the event for a fundraiser for us.
And that information will be available on your website, I'm assuming?
Yes, I'm going to be posting a flyer as well. It's going to be at San Marcos on Southwest 59th. So it's actually in Representative Dolan's district. So we'd appreciate it if people can come to the fundraiser.
Thank you. Nana, any final thoughts from you, sir? It looks like Nana may be frozen. All right. Well, thank you both for being with us this evening. It's been a pleasure talking with you and a pleasure presenting you to our audience, because I think with your attitude, your spirit, your motivation, and especially your hearts, that you're in the right place, doing the right thing, and you have my deep appreciation. So thanks to both of you for being with us.
Thank you, Scott.
Well, friends, that was the first installment. We are between this broadcast and our Chairs Daily Lives every single Monday through Friday at 4:15. We'll be introducing you to more of our candidates. And he just popped back in, so I'm going to give him one. You lost connectivity for a moment.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was just asking, was there anything else you would like to say to our audience tonight?
Yeah, I would just like to say that I know that I've had moments wherever I've been down and I've kind of lost hope in the political system. But I want people to know, if you feel disenfranchised, you feel like you don't have a voice, you're unrepresented, please donate to my campaign. I will represent you. I will do the best I can to be a voice for you in the state capitol and in our district. So thank you for listening. Please donate. And I just hope you guys have a great day and great life.
Thank you, Nana. Well, friends, thank you for being with us. We are clean out of time tonight, but it's been my privilege to be with you, and I am so grateful that you invited us into your home tonight. I ask that you will consider sharing this broadcast with your friends and colleagues and your neighbors and your family, because the more people that hear from our candidates, the more people that understand what we as a party are working for, they will come to believe, as I certainly do, that the Democratic Party in Oklahoma is here to serve all Oklahomans. Thank you for being with us, and I look forward to seeing you again next Monday evening at 6:30. On behalf of all of us at the Oklahoma Democratic Party, I'm Scott J. Hamilton. Thank you, and good night.